So godets. A godet is just an insert in a seam that adds extra flare. Notoriously in the 70s with jeans, they would undo the side seam and add a flower power godet in. But you can do it into your gored panel skirt, you could do it in place or a vent or a split. So it also adds movement. So if you've got a tight skirt but you need to be able to stride and move in it and you don't want it as an opening, a godet in the centre back's quite nice. So you just need to know the design decisions. You want to know the length of your godet, the height, and then the width, the amount of flare you want to be. So on your pattern, where you have a pattern, if you're having, so that was a panelled pattern that I've got a video on to create. This was for an 8 gore. You could have made it more flared on the hem, but this is quite a straight gore, so you could have just flared it out even more. But maybe you wanted a straight look and you wanted different fabrics as a feature, so that's where a godet would add an element of a different satin or a chiffon or a pattern that just sneaks out when you walk. So you would decide on the height of your godet, how long you want it to be. That is a personal design decision. And obviously on your pattern you would therefore need a notch the same position as the height of your godet. So I'll just go with this one that I've got on here. So it'll just be a little kick out godet but longer and nicer. So I've just got that notch at 18.5 centimetres. And I'm measuring from the hem turn to the sewing line, not the seam allowance. It's always about the sewing line or net that you're using your measurements. So 18.5 centimetres. So my godet on my panel skirt, I draw it on my straight grain here. And I work net again, no seam allowances. And I'm going to make that, the bottom here, 18.5 centimetres. So we're going to now just draw an arc. If you had a big protractor, compass used to use in maths, you could have one of those. Otherwise a tape measure, or you just from this point here keep measuring out that 18.5. Turn my pattern master around. So go to a ruler, it'll be easier. So I've got there, and from this I'm always going to the point, and I'm just going to at 18.5, put a few measurements. Now it's how much width, how much of an arc we want that to be when we measure it. So that's the decision, and we're going to go equal either side so it'd be balanced again. So 18.5. 18.5, and you'll be joining that with a curve. It's not a straight line. So make that decision how much you want, how wide you want, excuse me, your godet to be, and then draw your line. So obviously more flare. It's just as easy to measure it out flat, so I've gone out 7. So where that hits at that 7 is where I'm going to stop. So that's my arc measurement. If you're going to be accurate, you could get a compass or a curved plate, but that's going to be as good enough curve for your pattern cutting. As long as it is a curve, find a plate or something. So this is net, no seam allowance. That's my straight grain. And then I just need to add seam allowances onto it. My skirt pattern, my gore skirt panel, has got 1.5 centimetre seam allowances, so I'm going to use the same at the side seams. Now Now, top tip, you can see when I'm drawing, I'll go over this in a minute, it goes to a point. It's really difficult on fabric and patterns to go to a point because to get that accurate. This is the key in measurement. So you could put a tailor's tack there, a drill hole, to mark that position. The other thing I like to do is continue that sewing line, that drafting line up on either side. And then you don't need that extra bit. Where the two cross at the top there, you can just cut that section there off. You don't actually need that section because this is the sewing line down and that's the width of the sewing line down. So effectively you could put a notch there and a notch there, and they're pointing to that drill hole as well. So you don't need, and I wouldn't want you to go to a point because they get too messy to be able to find that position accurately. But that's a good one to do. So that's how I'm going to draft that bit of the pattern. So I'll just highlight so you're aware it's this here. That's what we're going along. That's the seam allowance. And then at the bottom of your godet, you might bag it out with a deep hem. So this might be chiffon or something small. So you need to give this the relevant seam allowance. So if it was something small, it might just have 1 centimetre for a small double turn hem. It's a curve, so you can't have anything too big. So I would hem the godet, then join it on, and then bag out the bottom edge. So here, no more than 1 centimetre, probably more like 1/4 of an inch. Excuse me. For that. And that is your godet pattern piece. So on my gore panel skirt, I had 8. So I would need 8 of these to go in. I might need 9 to be fair. Need to do my maths there. So you need the correct number of gores for the panels. Alright. So that's me having the gores, or if it's just in a centre back seam. So each of those will have a godet inserted in the seam to give it extra. So that would be a godet insert. So I'll cut that out and then just show you quickly what I mean about bagging out the hem. So that bit there, you can see I don't need the point, just gets in the way. This would be double turns with a small hem because it's a curve. I mean, you could potentially join it in and then hem all of the skirt and the godet at the same time, but quite often it's a different finer fabric or contrast. So I would therefore double turn that godet hem and top stitch it with a small hem, and then with my panel skirt, when you sew your godet in, that would finish, you can see how that mark, the drill hole lines up to your notch. You sew, keep this bit loose, you sew one of them and you join it on here, and then you would be able to turn this up and pin and sew across there as well. So you would sew all the way down, and then that will allow that to fold and bag out. So it will be folded and bagged out and neatened like this, and it would all be neatly bagged out and finished on that bottom corner of the hem. So different ways of finishing the hem. Nice experiment samples to sew. So that is creating a godet pattern piece which can be inserted into a pencil skirt or something that you want instead of a back vent or split, or you could just add it into the gored skirt for extra flair, or a feature maybe just down the centre back. It would come out. You could pleat these and do have lots of fun with them.